kids. So for today's New Testament lesson, we're going to read about Paul's conversion. The first story is called Journey to Damascus. Saul was born into a Jewish family who lived in Tarsus, a university city in the Roman province of Cilicia. He was a clever young man and had learned Greek and Latin. In his hometown, he was known as Paul, which is the Roman form of his name. His family had been granted the privilege of Roman citizenship. But more than this, Saul was proud to be a Pharisee. He had studied under a famous Jewish teacher in Jerusalem. Saul was convinced that he must use all his energies to wipe out the new teaching about Jesus. Sometimes he was haunted by the look of goodness and truth on Stephen's face, as those murderous stones had rained down upon him. To banish such memories, he worked even harder to get rid of every follower of the way. If they had fled from Jerusalem, he would go after them. One day, he set off for Damascus with letters from the Jewish council that would give him power to arrest followers of Jesus in the city and bring them to Jerusalem for trial. Armed guards went with him. They journeyed for about 6 days before the gates of Damascus at last came into sight. Suddenly, the brightness of the noon sun seemed to grow pale as a startling flash of brilliance lit up the sky and shone all around. Saul fell to the ground, stunned by the dazzling light. Then a voice spoke to him, "Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Fearing, yet guessing what the answer would be, Saul asked, "Who are you, Lord?" "I am Jesus," came the reply. "Every time you ill-treat one of my followers, you are ill-treating me." "What do you want me to do, Lord?" Saul asked, all pride and hatred gone. "Go into the city, and you will be told what to do next," Jesus said. Saul struggled to his feet, but he could see nothing. He had been blinded by the light from heaven. The armed guards had seen the light that shone from heaven, but they did not see the one who spoke to Saul or understand what was said. When they saw Saul blunder to his feet and realized that he was blind, they took his hand and led him to a house in Damascus in Straight Street. Saul stayed there 3 days, praying and thinking about his vision. He did not eat or drink. Meanwhile, Jesus spoke to Ananias, one of his followers in Damascus. "Go to Straight Street," he told him. "Knock on the door of Judas's house, and ask to see Saul of Tarsus. He is expecting you." Ananias was horrified. He had heard all about Saul. "But Lord," he protested, "Saul is our enemy. He has come on purpose to arrest us." "He has become my servant," Jesus reassured him. "I have chosen him to take the good news far and wide." Ananias set off obediently. As soon as he saw Saul, he went quickly across to him and put his hands gently on his shoulders. "Brother Saul," he said kindly, "Jesus himself, who spoke to you, has sent me here so that you may see once more and may receive his Holy Spirit." At once, something like fish scales fell from Saul's eyes, and he could see again. Then Ananias baptized him, and he ate a good meal. Saul stayed on in Damascus not to arrest believers, but to preach about Jesus to all in the synagogues there. They were amazed at the change that had come over him. But his own people, who would once have been his friends and allies, became Saul's bitter enemies. They made up their minds to stop his preaching and made a plot to kill him. Day and night they watched the city gates to catch him as he went out. So Saul's friends lowered him over the city walls in a basket under cover of darkness, and he escaped from his enemies.